Brought to you by Promise Resource Network, which is the Disneyland of service providers in Charlotte. Today, Courtney and I
Hey guys.
are going to talk about self-care during the holidays. Why do we always talk about how not to lose your shit? Is that it? Is that always the topic? But how not to lose it during the holidays, how to actually enjoy this holiday season through self-care, through the things that we do that can help us, right? Okay, I'm going to read a little bit. I got paper.
You know how to read?
No, I can't. The holiday season is typically seen as a time of joy and merriment, of family and friends gathering and celebrating together. However, many of us have begun to have honest conversations with the darker side of the most wonderful time of the year. For many of us, mental illness or those who have family and loved ones who face mental health issues, these are tremendously difficult times. Perhaps we hope to feel connected and understood by those around us during celebrations, only to be disappointed. Or maybe we imagine fulfilling family dinners only to struggle in fitting in. We might plan for parties and friends only to find we're feeling trapped in our own minds with loss of waves of depression. These holiday blues, however, can be managed. They can. Anybody relate to that? Wanting to fit in, wanting to be connected, and being disappointed. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's kind of like you can kind of compare your life to other people, and I try not to even do that because I gotta appreciate what I have. I can't want what you have because I gotta appreciate what blessings I got, and I'm grateful just to see another Christmas, to see another holidays. Because I remember what last year was, so I'm just living in gratitude. I can complain, I can just be grateful just to be here and just be alive and be safe and have a roof on my head and clothes on my back. Those small things that matter.
That gratitude is critical because sometimes I do compare myself to other people. I can compare my insides, what I think and feel, to somebody else's outsides who look like they got their shit together. All right, that makes me feel so inadequate. Yes, Roger.
I just wanted to say that for me, the holidays were great as a child, a teenager, and college, and the parties were fun. After that, don't forget I started drinking and all that stuff. But my most recent situation in the past 5 years is nobody, my mother's dead, my father's dead, nobody in my family, my brother talks to me, but he's out in Texas. My sister, who has the big holiday and the table and all the settings and the turkey and caramel cake, she doesn't invite me. She doesn't want anything to do with me. So 5 years ago, I probably drank over the situation and cried myself, and self-pity was all in there, man. That'll give you self-pity if nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
Then I got sober. And my first year, I was terrible. I was still sad, but I crawled in bed. I did not pick up a drink.
Yeah.
And I talked to my sponsor. The year after that, Anuvia used to have Thanksgiving, which was wonderful, and invited all the people. But I still didn't feel like I belonged. When I went in there, I still felt out, and I was scared, and I was embarrassed. And now, this Thanksgiving, I was starting out, and the thing is the TV makes it seem so glamorous, and family all over the place, and it just rubs it in that you don't have family,
Yeah.
But this year, there's going to be a breakfast at one of my meeting houses, and at 8:00 in the morning. And then a girlfriend that I actually like, because, girls, I actually like her and love to be around her. She's invited me into her home and her family for Thanksgiving.
Aww.
I am grateful every single day for that. I'm still going to be sad not being at my sister's Thanksgiving table and don't get to see my nephews. But I'm so happy that somebody loves me enough to invite me into their home, damn it.
Isn't that wonderful? Where we start from. And then we begin to shift because as I grew in my recovery, my world changed.
Yeah, exactly. I think the mind changes too.
Oh, absolutely.
The world changes.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
So to piggyback on what you were saying about like family versus like friends and that sort of thing, it's going to be a minute for me to say this.
Okay.
As a child, I had like my dad's Christmas dinners with because he worked for the FBI doing installations and stuff. And they had big corporate Christmases and stuff. Wonderful for me. Didn't have a clue what was going on. then I ended up in a foster home.
Mhm.
And that for me was even better because I got out of a situation.
Mhm.
And while like I didn't really comprehend what was going on, like intellectually and emotionally,
Mhm.
I knew that that Christmas was better than the Christmases I ever had before. And the Thanksgivings that I had were even better. And the Easters, like I experienced God more than I ever had before. I ended up getting to have a family of choice
Mhm.
Yeah.
rather than a family of origin.
Yes.
And I can still choose that to this day. And I get to dictate, you know, if I want someone in my life at that particular moment in time, I can still let them in again.
Mhm.
But, you know, if they're hurting me and something like that, it's called boundaries.
Yep.
You know, and so, you know, if if I need them to be in my life, if they need me to be in their life,
Yes.
it's reciprocity, you know. And my gratefulness, I think, and self-care is putting up that,
Yes.
you know, and taking care of my needs, and looking what their needs are too, because it can't just be all about me,
Yeah.
you know. And so yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That family of origin versus our family of choice. You know, Robin said the way it looks on TV, right? Leave It to Beaver, Brady Bunch.
That's when I take the toilet bowl plunger and go.
It's not real.
It isn't real, is it? Uncle Larry's going to show up. Everybody's got that person, maybe family, maybe friends that we've interacted with in the past that doesn't meet our need, right? That just doesn't meet the need for comfort, for connectedness. And that is when I need to kick up that self-care. First thing, know and respect our limits. Know and respect our own limits. It says we can set boundaries right on time around how much time we spend on holiday tasks, plan for a trip instead of an all-day excursion, limiting ourselves only to 1 or 2 stores. Don't forget to take breaks and recharge. Going with 1 or 2 friends may also provide support and make an outing fun. Make an outing a fun activity. So I need to know what I can do. What's comfortable for me? Yes, sir.
So what's hard for me around the holidays, my parents are still alive, and we, you know, my father and me are a little estranged, but we still do the holidays together. But I'm almost 50, and I've had recently in the past friends that, you know, I used to spend a lot of time with, you know, had kind of, you know, not a huge circle, have died.
Yeah.
And one of those was one of my exes. I used to spend a lot of time with his family on the holidays. And it's like, so when the holidays come on, I think of those people
Yeah.
and they're gone. And it's like, yes, you can meet new people,
Mm-hmm.
but a real friendship takes a lot of time to develop.
Yeah.
And you just can't get that overnight. I mean, recently I have developed a new friend. I like to think my deceased ex-lover introduced us because I met him when I was going to this place again that he used to frequent. And so that's helpful, but it's so hard once those bonds, you go through all these years to build these bonds and then people just die.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the hardest thing for me because I have a difficult time building bonds with people that I don't consider everyone a friend.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are acquaintances,
Yes.
there are associates, but when I draw somebody in and then they just die,
Yeah.
it's just hard. So that's one of the things I have trouble coping with. And plus, like when I was a kid, I know I'm going on, but when I was a kid, I was moved down here as a young child. So essentially became estranged from most of my
Mhm.
extended family.
Mhm.
So,
You mean strange.
It's strange.
Strange.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
did I say something else?
No, you're fine.
I'm just making a joke.
Oh. But yeah, and then some of those in recent years have passed away.
Yeah.
And they're all the way up in Boston.
It seems like the holiday season is the hardest when we're talking about those people, family and friends that we've lost.
Yeah.
You know, either through death or through some other way.
Yeah, I like Robin over here, when I was younger, like my holidays looked very different. It was very festive and fun, and I enjoyed it. And then as I dove into more of my wellness, I separated myself from the family, and I kind of created this wedge with them, and I burned a lot of bridges. And it took me a long time to really like sort through all that stuff, because I know that I didn't, like, part of me was, the shame was there, the guilt, and I had to kind of rise above that, and I had to recreate a different family for me, and for me, that was how I, was taking care of myself, because I had this belief for a long time, because when I was out there in the streets and using, that I was okay to be by myself. I didn't need anybody. And then when I really got honest with myself, I was like, I don't really like being alone. I want to laugh. I want to like share things with people. And but it took me some time to get there. And about knowing and respecting your limits, like as I recreated new people in my life, I had to even identify what my limits were, because I was it came out of a shitstorm basically, and I didn't even know what they were. I didn't know what was healthy. I didn't know what felt good to me. And as I surrounded myself with more healthy people and people that kind of identify with where I was at, and we had like a lot of similarities, I was able to gravitate towards that, and they would share their experiences with it too, and it's like, oh shoot, you get it, these are my people.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, all right, and it feels good. And today I can say I have a family. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
We do have a family today. You've got a family here. There was a time in my life too when I felt all alone, when I felt like I didn't have any connection, because it is about connection and reconnection, isn't it? And I think that is more what we're talking about today, that being vulnerable enough to open up just a hair, maybe, just to connect to another person, right? With having those expectations, with taking care of ourselves, right? We've got to be able to set those boundaries, even if we're reconnecting or connecting, to be able to say, okay, this is our relationship. This is our connectedness, our love. How can we keep that going? And yet, how can I take care of myself? Because I can get all up in a relationship, friendship, family, romantic, and just lose myself.
Yes.
Today, I don't want to lose myself. Today, I want to stay connected. Todd's saying good morning to us. Good morning, Todd. Good to see you out there. Yes,
I'll
sir.
say something for me. Like, I'm grateful to come here and get these tools and skills, because this, like, years ago, I wouldn't be able to withstand holidays because I didn't have the tools to know what to do. Because like I was saying, in school, we prep for a tornado drill, a fire drill, so we know what to do if it happens. And that you have to have that preparation to give you some security. Like, I know how to practice this. I know what happens. And I have tools now, and I want to be able to use the tools. I didn't use, when I was in school, I learned Spanish from kindergarten to 12th grade, but I never used it. I never talked to anybody, so I never got to actually use them. But I want to be able to use these tools so I can make sure strengthen them and see if they work. See these skills that I've learned here, because these are skills that I need for the rest of my life. So it gives me opportunity now. I want to
Oh, so
out
you-
conflict. I know how active listening, and I know how
Yes.
to not do things now. So I know how
Yeah.
and I don't judge my family because maybe they don't have these tools that I have. Maybe I can show them something differently.
The next thing is the expectations. Maybe they don't have those skills, and thank God I do today. Thank God I know meditation. Thank God I know how to do these things, and thank God I choose to.
And be the example of what you can do.
Yes.
And they expect, like I said, what Gina says, I don't want to see your recovery. I don't want to hear your recovery. I want to see it. I want to see you change. Because you can't get to me like you did last year.
I love
And I've
that.
changed. I can't change you, but I can change me.
Show me your recovery. Don't tell me. And that's it. We share that expectation. We share that love and that expectation of crap. I don't know what I'm talking about. Help me, Porter.
last Christmas, I gave everyone the warm line. Everyone in my family,
Yes.
I just gave them the information, whether they use it or not. It's up to them. I let them know that it helps me. I call it 24 hours a day if I need it. So now you have a tool if you need it. So maybe you won't next Christmas you won't be able to come with all that badness because maybe you utilize the tool that I gave you. It's up to
Yeah.
you whether you use it and strengthen it because you have a toolbox, but if you've never taken it out of the toolbox, you don't know if it even still works. So
I love the toolbox concept because that's it. In those situations when I am being challenged by people, even if they don't realize they're doing it, even if they don't know how to deal with life in a way that I do now, right? I want to be able to keep those expectations set, right? So I don't over or under, right? I want to be able to accept people where they are, right? I have people in my life that I absolutely love that don't have the skills that I do. So I model, so I share, so I give information, right? But you're right. I remember back in the day, people would come into 12-step programs and say, yeah, I left that literature all over the house. I left the big book. I talked about meetings, all this stuff. And people were like, I ain't going to do that shit, right? When before I got sober, 6 months before I got sober, I moved into a house with a lady that I used to party with who got clean and sober, right? And I said, listen, I'll pay my rent, I'll take care of my stuff, and you don't talk any of that AA shit to me. And she didn't. She didn't say a word about meetings. She didn't leave any pamphlets around. She didn't say anything. But when I hit my bottom, I knew where to go because she showed me recovery. Her joy drew me to her because that's what I wanted. I was so tired of the misery. And we can experience that during the holiday season where I fall back into that misery. I fall back into that box that people put me in. I'm busting out of that box today.
Yeah.
Right. I'm busting out of that box today.
I don't want to be the Grinch anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
No buy humbugs, right? Yeah. And I'd say that too, like you were saying, like it's that attraction.
Yeah.
You know, even though I might admit that that's what I desire and that I want, but still there's something inside of us that craves that feeling good, that joy. And, you know, and all the things that have played into why we don't deserve that, you know, that's how I felt for a very long time. And once I started to see like my worth and I was, you know, I needed love, I could love myself and allow others to love me, you know, that's when I was able to like kind of go for it and go after it because, you know, I didn't want to be alone anymore. And it didn't have to be an army. I mean, it could have been just one person or two people where it started for me, where I started to feel alive again and was like, okay, this actually feels good.
Yeah. And I want to do more of it.
I want to do more of it.
That's it. What you got, Steven?
so for me, I just wanted to touch a little bit on what Porter said and what Sharon said. For me, one of the important things about coming to this place and other places like it is getting the skills that
Yes.
work for you. Because not
Yes.
everything works for everybody. For example, like when they tell you if there's a nuclear bomb,
Yeah.
to crawl under your desk
Yes.
because it'll save you.
Yeah.
I know that's not true.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna work. So what I need to know is I need to know where the underground bunker is that I can get to save my life. And to me, the hardest part for me in recovery is, for me, it needs to be realistic. And, people telling, a lot of times when we talk about other people's problems, we're just like, oh, the easiest way to solve your problem is just to do this one thing. The problem
Yeah.
is you're not believing in it,
Yeah.
and it's not a realistic solution. So to me, to find, not that everybody is responsible for my solution.
Yeah.
But to find the skills that help me personally in my recovery, because not all of them work for all of us.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a terribly religious or spiritual person.
Yeah.
But there are other things that are helpful to me.
Absolutely. Everybody's got a toolbox, right? And Porter's right. It depends on if we open it or not. And some of us are electricians and some of us are plumbers, right? And a plumber has certain tools in there that work for them. The big wrench and all this stuff. He's probably got a hammer in there, doesn't he? Probably. Now, the electrician has a whole different set of tools, right, that work for them, but they probably have a hammer too. There are some things we have in common that work for us all, and probably being together is one of them. But we have a vast number of coping skills out there that we put in our toolbox. What do you think, David?
I think that even, like, for me personally, the holiday season, a lot of my trauma that I've experienced and stuff are rooted in this time of the year.
Okay.
So even with
Wow.
my plethora of tools that
Yeah.
I've got, it can still be a very vaccine time of the year for me because certain traumas, like, they don't ever go away.
Yeah.
Like, certain things that you get PTSD from, like, this time of the year is like getting to be, it's harder, even though I'm in recovery. I mean, it's hard because even though I've tried to process and accept things, I can't change some of it, but it doesn't make it any easier to deal with.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to force myself to use those tools or open that toolbox, like you say, because it's a trying time of the year.
Yeah.
And I know what works and what doesn't work, but sometimes some things just don't work at all. I mean, no matter if it's the right tool for the job, it might not be the right condition. Like,
What do you do in that situation when your tools aren't working?
I try to find an alternative tool, or sometimes I try to lean more on my network, and even that sometimes doesn't work, but it kind of lessens the blow a little bit.
Lessens the loneliness.
Like saying an electrician, it's easy to change a light switch, but it's not that easy to change a light switch if the current's still running on it.
Yeah.
And for me, some of the traumas that are rooted around the holiday season, I can't cut the current off. So I have to force myself to try to just go through it.
Yeah.
Like, keep walking through that pain, and it can be difficult.
You might
Re-
not have to, like, at my house, okay, it's an old place, it's an apartment, but there is a main switch that you can turn off that turns those, like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
The main, there's like the main circuit breaker, but then there's like another switch
Yeah.
that would lessen those.
That's not
currents.
maybe the best analogy, but
I
I was
think-
just using it for an
Well,
analogy.
no, I like that. And I like that because sometimes when things get really, really rough, I need to shut that switch down. I need to put my walls up because I'm not around safe people. And I know what I'm going through on the inside
Or I
may
can
lead,
just-
may
Uh-huh.
lead to some kind of interaction I don't want. Yes, ma'am.
Don't worry, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Sarah, I learned this from you, having a plan And that's what I'm doing now. I'm planning for the holidays. Usually,
Yes.
like it's a surprise, like it just happens about you. It happens every year. Like, oh my God, it's Christmas. You have all this preparation. So if you plan for it, chances are you won't be. I don't want to be a passenger in my life anymore.
Ooh.
I want to be a driver in my life. Have control. Make plans. I've been contacting people saying, "What are you doing?" Even just talking to people like, "How are you this Christmas?" Not worried about how I'm doing, but how are you this Christmas? Because some people don't have what I have. They don't have this network. They don't have this opportunity to just commune with people and plan for the holidays. They're at work somewhere. They're still in their mindset of, "Oh, go, go, go." I have time to sit down and plan. What do I want to do? How do I want this to end up? And make plans
I love
for it.
that.
If you just moving. The pandemic did that for me too. Sit down and plan. What do I want to do? So I can see how I want to go. It gives me power when I can have
Yeah.
control or know what I'm doing. I don't want to be like, oh, well, let's see what I want to do now.
I know. Just if I know what I'm going to do, y'all know I always take my car.
No.
In case shit gets bad, I am driving. I don't care where we're going, who's with me, I'm driving. In case shit gets bad, I leave. I've got a plan too, Porter. And I know, you know what? Let me tell you a surprise. I know you don't know this, but every year Christmas comes on the 24th of December. I just want to tell you all that because it's consistent. I need to remember that because I too am surprised. Oh my God, what am I going to do? If I plan ahead, if I know myself well enough, and I know my triggers, and I know my trauma that is around this. If I know what I'm coming up against and make a plan for it and prepare myself for Uncle Larry, right? There's always an Uncle Larry. What do you think, Courtney?
I feel like also the things that can show up out of the blue because for me, I may have thought I've addressed something and then all of a sudden something has kicked up some old dust.
Yeah.
I mean, I know years ago, I remember this, I went to someone's house and they, the way that their fireplace was, it was familiar, like wood burning smell. It reminded me of my childhood and going to my aunt's. And I was just like, whoa, I thought that I was good. I thought I was going to be okay, but that small little thing triggered me. And, it was tough. And like, for me, sometimes I just have to just pause.
Yeah.
Just pause and give myself a minute because for me, sometimes like the way my feelings work,
I said that.
I can react around that and to just really step back and say, hey, I don't have to react to this right now or go into the freaking bathroom and cry. That's what I did that day. I thought I was okay. I had addressed that. I'd forgiven my family. I had forgiven myself around all of that chaos that I created when I started using and I distanced myself from my family. But, and that's what I did. It was just unexpected, a moment that just kind of came out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes you may feel like you're backed in the corner and that's kind of how I felt. And it was small. It wasn't someone coming in with a case of beer or he's over there drunk or yada, yada, yada. It was a freaking smell.
Yeah.
And I walked into that bathroom and I cried and I breathed and, I kind of, I pushed my way through it, but it was just, it was unexpected.
We got those kind of triggers, don't we? We got the ones that we know are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Larry, he's going to
Yeah.
talk about politics and religion, and it's all going to go to shit. But I know that, so I don't have to sit beside him, right? I can sit beside somebody that understands me and knows me. But those sneak up on you triggers, that smell,
Mm-hmm.
tasting something, hearing the holiday music can do it, bringing up that trauma, all those things. And even when I know my triggers, sometimes one will sneak up and kick me in the ass. I need to be ready for that one too.
Going to the bathroom, so that's what you did.
Right.
A couple years ago, you would have done. You would have reacted totally different. You didn't react. You didn't respond. You didn't react. You didn't respond. You didn't react. You respond. You didn't
Yes.
respond. You reacted. You didn't allow it to affect you. You took control and said, "No, I'm going to do this."
It is about control, isn't it? Holding on to that power that I have.
Choice.
choice in
And
how I'm
give-
going to deal with this.
and
How
give-
am I going to respond or am I going to react?
Yeah, and giving yourself permission to do that too. Cause a lot of, oh, I don't want to go in here and take a break. I don't wanna step outside because everybody's going this, like, that it's okay. And, that really makes me think of our topic about self-care, that it's okay, and tell yourself that it's okay.
Boundaries.
No matter where you are. Yeah, Barry.
I'm like that. I mean, the holidays are not, they just don't mean that much to me anymore. Because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm to the point where even though I'm alone, I don't have a family and I don't have nobody to share this Thanksgiving with. It'd be nice to have some self-control where I could say, it's okay to cry. It's okay to, let loose some of your frustrations
Mm-hmm.
and aggravations just bottled up inside of you that keeps you going back making the same mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
It's
Porter
hard.
said, it, practice doing the next right thing. They told me that in the rooms and I didn't know what the hell they meant. I remember I was at a meeting and I was all this stuff that was going on with me, and I was just going on and on and on. And this lady grabbed my hand from across the table and she said, honey, just do the next right thing. And I went, what the F is that? But what I found was, if I don't know the right thing, let me just do what's in front of me right now. Even if I don't know if it's right or wrong, let me just do this thing. Yeah, Barry.
I guess this time around, it's easier for me to deal with it better because I'm here.
Yep.
And plus, I kind of figured if I help, if I could deal with my problems and help somebody else out with
Yeah.
theirs along the way, it makes mine a lot easier, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense, Barry. And I think that's the key. The key to dealing with triggers. It says in some of the literature I read that when these things crop up, anger, disappointment, fear, something, resentment. Thank you, David. That's why I was looking at you. I knew you had me right.
Bitterness.
We can do 4 things. We can talk about it to a friend. We can talk about it to a higher power. We can make amends if we need to. And then the key part,
we can help.
find someone we can help. Is there somebody at that Thanksgiving party that that's having a rough time? Maybe you can sit beside and say, you know what, it's going to be okay. It doesn't seem like it right now, but it's going to be okay. You stick with me. I've got your back.
What about using your imagination?
Oh, okay. How does that work?
Well, I honestly, not all the time, but I mean, 'cause sometimes I just get, wound up badly. But when I get to a point where I'm overly angry, overly frustrated, to the extreme,
Yes.
I'm like, why am I this amped up? I'm gonna take a Tupperware dish, I'm gonna put it in there, and then I imagine myself being the genie at the beginning of the Aladdin, and then going, when he does that at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and I'm
love
like,
that.
okay, it farted, I'm done.
When the fat lady sings, it's over. I love that. I had a person tell, I just talk too damn much.
Hello,
There
Lisa.
you.
That told me that when I've got those things, those triggers, those emotions that are coming up, whatever, if it's not time safe people, if I'm at Walmart, I don't need to be dealing with my trauma at that moment.
Right.
So I put it in a box.
Yeah.
And I put it up on a shelf, kind of in the back.
Yeah.
And I know it's there. I know that trauma's there and I'm going to have to deal with it. Just not right now. It's not safe for me to do it right now. Right? So I want to protect myself. I want to practice those skills. Using our imagination, using meditation, using solitude,
Control.
control.
Your own control can get you safety and perspective and everything. And then through the holiday season, you are in control. You
Yes.
are your own magic.
Absolutely. Ooh, you're your own magic. I like that. To be able to take care of ourselves in the best way. Yeah, Barry.
But is it true that you can also be your own worst enemy?
Oh,
You can,
absolutely.
you can.
Absolutely. I've been my own worst enemy and set myself up for failure before. Today I don't, but today, just today, okay, I can screw it up tomorrow all I want. You know, I used to tell
Devour.
myself that I'm not going to drink today, but by God, tomorrow I'm going to tear it up. And then I just, kept saying that. Just for today, let me get through this. Let me have that time that I can recharge myself, regenerate myself, that I'm not looking at the worst of me, that I'm looking towards the best of me, right?
It
Yeah,
be
boy.
like I have to be, I'll allow myself to feel whatever I'm feeling, not feel like I have to be happy because it is the holidays. Maybe I don't want to be happy right now. Maybe I try to mask what I'm feeling because everyone else is and I don't feel comfortable. Like you said, if I feel like I need to go cry, I'm going to do that because I'm not being my true self. Because too many times I've been around all my family and I feel like I'm invisible because I'm not being myself at all. I'm just being the little boy who's the little tool. I'm not being myself at all. So I'm invisible. I'm not going to do that this year. I'm going to be my true self. I'm not going to be there. I'm going to speak my truth. And if I can't speak my truth, I'm going to put my boundaries. I have boundaries now. Boundaries for myself and boundaries for others. Just protect myself to protect others. I don't have to do that anymore.
I don't got to fit in that little box anymore, do I? Oh,
Okay,
blow that
just-
shit up.
Just like anger has like a medium and then like way over here and way over here, happiness has the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So
Thermostat.
Different
I'm
level.
going to be keeping it on a temperature that I can withstand. I don't want it to be too hot or too cold. I don't want this place to be hot or too cold. I control it. I want it to be steady.
So be over the holidays, be your happy or whatever it is that you need it to be, not someone else's.
Be the one.
And I
Be the
really,
one for ourselves.
I think the biggest hope shot that I heard early on in recovery is that it's not perfect and it doesn't fit in a box. Because,
Yeah.
I thought like I was very overwhelmed and I thought that, I had to achieve all these things and I had to be this person. I just, I put too much on myself. So when I heard that, like, and when I made my mistakes, or I had my side steps, or I bumped my head, or I got angry over something and may have not reacted in a nice way, that it was okay because I continue to learn. And I think that's probably the most beautiful thing about recovery that I love is knowing that I can learn. I can start my day over at any given moment, and that it's going to be okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Robert.
I just wanted to add in there that
Thank you.
another thing that I do to get out of myself, which is what the whole thing is about. I'm lonely
Yeah.
for me. Let me get outside of myself. Another thing I do is if you can attend, there's lots of things going on. I attend meetings, but there's lots of support groups going around at this time of year. There's lots of groups to make Christmas ornaments. You have to look for it, but it gets you outside of yourself because you're not alone. And I'm a scary person. I have to go to these things in order to get outside of myself because I can start feeling real sorry for myself in the morning.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. CharlotteMeetup.com is a really good way to do that. CharlotteMeetup.com is a website that can lead you to groups that can, if you like bowling, they've got a thing for bowling. If you like underwater crochet, I know there's some people anything you want, they got. So look that up, Charlotte Meetup, and it's a really good resource to find those things, and the good thing about that, a lot of groups this year are having activities and parties and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's right.
Do what?
That's what I need.
There you
Hey,
go.
things are returning to normal. That's a good
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
So you can connect to people here.
Well,
Like, what are you doing for your holiday? Not this opportunity to say, like, who needs somebody to be around now?
Yeah.
That if you don't want to be by someone by yourself, maybe go with someone. I don't want to be by myself, so now you have an opportunity to connect with people. Now we can sit down and say, what are you doing this holiday? How are you feeling today? I want you to do this any other time to sit down and have a conversation.
need?
How are you? What do you have planned for it? You gonna do something with that? Just like Robin. What are you doing? You get information
Yeah.
from other people. Like,
Hey,
you get Robin going up there to Tom one more time around Tom.
yeah, I will go.
I'm gonna be through.
Take backup.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always take backup when I'm going into a situation I'm not sure about. I'm take somebody that's in. Get the hell up out of here.
You got your ride or die.
Ride or die. There you go. There you go. All right, so we got some things we can do around the holidays. We had a lot of really good examples today. Use your tools. Use those tools you've got. Get some more. Sometimes you got to break out the big ammo, right? To deal with these triggers, to deal with these expectations. Do everything you can to get everything you want this year. It may not be perfect, but it'll be what it is. It'll be what it is. You got any last words?
Yes. I mean, I would just say, the gift of recovery is just a journey in itself. And for me, this is a huge year for me.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of like challenges that I faced over the last couple of years. And, there's some things that's happened, and being reunited with some of my family members, it's huge.
Mhm.
And, if I look back, it was those challenges that I overcome, and the fears I faced and the courage that I had, because I wanted it. I had this vision and this dream in my mind, and I've manifested it.
Yeah.
Even though people may have said this is not going to happen, I didn't buy into it. And, and that, it's a beautiful thing. It can just be something small.
Mhm.
Just be kind to yourself and know that it's going to be okay, no matter what. Even if you're feeling crappy, like you can turn it around.
Absolutely. So do those things work. Do those things work. Look for the God shots. Look for the God winks, the higher power winks. Look for gratitude is my goal. Looking for gratitude, because that always flips me around.
Yeah.
I may not like to be here with Uncle Larry. He jerks my nerves, but I'm glad Uncle Larry's still here with us. Right? Okay. Go out there and avoid your Uncle Larry. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. I want to tell you two things. Warm line. Porter mentioned it. It's 24/7 call away from somebody that understands. It is available if it's 3 a.m. on Wednesday night and this is kicking. Please call us.
Yes.
We're here. We're here. There are trained peer support specialists on the other side of that line. So give us a call. It's 833-390-7728. That's 833-390-7728. Another thing, the last thing I'm going to tell you, share this. Share it. Somebody might need it. Somebody might need a little information to get through the holidays. Somebody might need a little encouragement, knowing that they're not alone.
And we love you.
Oh, we do love you. All right. Let's see. We got a class tomorrow. Do we have a class tomorrow?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Hey,
Hey, happy Thanksgiving. If I don't get to see you, if we don't get to see you before you go, know the PRN is here for you. Call the warm line if it gets tough. We love you. Keep peace, share love, and I was going to say be good, but how about just not get caught?
Be good, Alex.